Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew, and tonight I want to welcome back to the show from the Blue Koolaid channel, Mark Wages. How you doing tonight, Mark?
Doing good, bud. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing excellent. We got a lot to talk about, but what I really like about your channel is you show people how to do the same thing you're doing so that they can look up the information themselves. And I think that's one of the most important things about what we do is please don't believe us. Please don't take us for our words. Do your own research. Use the tools that we give you, the information, and go verify it for yourself. Make sure it's true. Don't just blindly believe anybody, especially these people on YouTube that are telling you this is the way it is for sure. So that's what I love about Mark. He gives you the tools to do it yourself. He explains exactly what he's showing you. He researches anomalies on satellite data, photographs, all kinds of stuff. And he's going to share some of that stuff with us tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mark.
Okay, sounds good, buddy. Well, hello, everybody. Just to put that out there, and Chris did a really good intro there as far as what I actually do and the goal of my channel. I mean, there's a lot of channels out there that put emphasis on the actual research part of it and what you're actually seeing. And I put some emphasis on that too. But like you said, my goal is to get everybody to the point where they can go look at the stuff for themselves. And then, the more eyes you have on the stuff, the more information you're going to, come across. And, one of the things I do say, I think that all of us have something to add. And sometimes it takes a new set of eyes to actually see the truth. And I think if you take everybody's ideas and, throw them all into one group, and where they overlap is where you're going to find the truth.
Right.
That's just how it's just what I go by on my channel. Actually, in life, it's kind of the same for me, even with my own personal religious beliefs. I think that a lot of the different stuff can be put into the same thing, and where they talk about the same exact stuff all the time in the ancient text, and then you see the two from one side of the world to the other, they overlap in a certain subject or what have you. In my mind, that almost validates that that's probably the truth.
Right.
There's a lot of other angles to that too, but for the most part, I think that should bleed into our everyday lives. What we do here and what we're actually trying to do. Why do we even do what we do? You can get that deep into it if you wanted to. And obviously we all have our own reasons, but I think for the most part, we're all pretty grounded for the most part. If you can, take your tinfoil hat off for a minute.
I mean, it's mainly about the pursuit of truth. It's about searching for ultimate truth and trying to get there in any way that we can find possible to share with people.
Right. And, and I've come to, after I've started my channel, obviously things change in case people don't know. I mean, it becomes a little bit different. It's not for everybody because you got to have some pretty thick skin sometimes. You can't take stuff personal. If you take it personal, you just can't do it. And I will say to this, to any other creator that's listening to us, if you start getting trolled real bad, just ignore it. There's nothing you can say that's going to change how they believe or their actions because there's no wall there. They're keyboard jockeys. That's all they're doing, and that's all they can do, really. Unless it becomes more of a threat situation, and that's happened to me before. And I'm sure it's happened to a lot, is what I'm trying to say. And 99% of that is nothing but a bunch of talk.
Right, and I just want to say something about that. I mean, you're 100% correct. I've made the mistake of engaging these trolls, and it just makes everything worse. You're not going to get anywhere. There's not going to be any satisfaction. They're going to be the ones getting all the satisfaction. So I find if you just ignore them, it puts out all their fuel, and you can just move on.
That's, man, I think that's really the best avenue that any of us can take. And like you said, you engage them, and I have in the past too, and that's actually how I, came to that conclusion also. So if you just kind of, I guess if you starve them, don't give them anything, they starve to death, and they just kind of go away. And believe it or not, and I would tend to guess that your subscribers are kind of the same way. when something gets put in our comment section, about 99 out of 100 times, we don't even have to respond to it because our subscribers will start smacking them across the face.
Yes, yes.
I
They're
mean,
very good about defending me. That's what's great about my subscribers, and I'm sure yours as well.
it's exactly what happens. And, you know, so when their peers, basically like a subscriber instead of a creator, when their peers start getting on them, they don't like that because they're not buying into their, you know, well, BS.
Right.
Pretty much what it ends up being. But, you know, and that, like I said, we talked a little bit a minute ago before we started the show, you know, we don't want to give them too much time because that's what they want.
Yeah.
And the more they get it, that's food for them. And they just want to come at you. Just ignore it. You know, I don't even, like I told you, I don't even block people unless it gets vulgar.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Vulgar or violent. That's the only time that I do.
Right.
And, you know, and I don't take comments down. So anybody wants to go look at any of my videos, go read my comments, and you can find out exactly who's trolling me. I don't even have to say it. So, you know, that's just how I work. But, you know, not everybody has that kind of ability to let that kind of stuff go. I'll just put it to you that way. There are people out there that just gets to them so bad that they have to say something. And I understand. I do. But those are the guys that get stuck on that subject and they stay there all the time, and their channel becomes nothing about trying to defend themselves against trolls.
Yep,
and
exactly.
I can't. I'm not going to allow that to happen here. At least not on my channel.
Right. And we deal with so much negativity as is with the world that we're trying to expose. You know, it's good to have as much positivity as we can add to it as possible.
Yep, I agree. And, you know, and I say no fear. That's another thing that this community is real good about is, you know, we're there for each other. A lot of us are. And, you know, I guess the no fear comes into where, you know, people, you got to find out where the line is for fear porn and where it's not.
Right.
You know, I always say, even on in my intro icon, it says no fear right on it. And the reason why is because anything that I say or show is not to induce fear. It's all it is about awareness. It really is. You know, because the stuff that's coming in this direction, at least in my opinion, on what's going to happen is, you know, first off, it's not going to happen tomorrow. Okay, that's my belief. It's not something you're going to wake up tomorrow and be like Star Wars, go outside, look in the sky and see 4 suns. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's not, you know, you're going to have some time there. Now, there could be some stuff that happens that might be kind of immediate, you know, earthquakes and stuff like that. But for the most part, you're going to know way before something catastrophic happens. Even though I believe that it gets hidden from us sometimes. Matter of fact, a lot of times.
You're speaking about Planet X or Nibiru, correct?
Well, you know, see, that's another thing that people are confused about. Yeah, you're getting an echo there, man.
Okay.
So, whatever you just did right there started that echo.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's gone now.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, but, you know, yeah, I'm talking about Nibiru, Planet X, you know, whatever you want to call it. I've come to at least for my belief, it's more than just one celestial body. Okay. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't know what to tell you which is which when we do see stuff. Okay. Basically, when I look at stuff, I'm just showing you that, hey, what's right there isn't a normal thing. It's, you know, I'm just pointing out an anomaly on a picture or on a satellite capture. I'm telling you that, hey, this isn't what it's supposed to look like. And I try to offer at least an educated guess on what I think it is. But, you know, none of us could really 100% know.
Right.
You know, I recently did a video. Actually, it was last week. I put in 2 kind of I don't want to call them tutorials. One part of it was kind of a tutorial, which it was to show people how to do what they call the finger test. Right. I'm not sure. Do you see that one?
Yeah.
You know, where you put your finger over the sun.
Yeah.
You know, between your camera and the sun, and if it's a lens flare, it actually just disappears.
Right.
So those are real simple things that people can do to, you know, debunk themselves before they try to put it out there. Because if it's not something that's real, there's going to be somebody out there that's going to call you on it. I can guarantee you that.
Now, I personally have been all over the place on this particular topic. This topic is one of the first things that got me started with this whole community. I'm at the point now where I just say I don't know. I don't know if it's Planet X that's causing this. I don't know what. I know that there is something causing these Earth changes. I know that our planet is changing at a rapid rate. I know that I see anomalies in pictures. I see anomalies myself in the sky. I've taken pictures myself of something that looked like a giant planet blocking the sun. But can I prove that's what it was? No, I have no idea what it was. I don't know if it's just something wrong with my camera or if they have something in the sky, if it's a hologram, I don't know. But what we're here to do is to present the evidence that there is something out there. There's something going on. There's something showing up on these satellite images and on these cameras and on these videos. What we know, but we don't know what it is. So, yeah, that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with everything you just said. I mean, and you can tell when people, like when you go watch others' videos and stuff, you can see who are actually trying to search for the truth and who's just going for views. And again, I won't speak names, I never do. But you guys are smart. Everybody can figure that out if they just really look. The thing I have issue with when it comes to like the finger test, I did a video where I was put flame to a snowball. I mean, have you seen anybody do that before?
Yes.
Because it turns black. It turns black, and it doesn't really catch on fire, but it turns black. Well, in our mind, we shouldn't see snow turn black, right?
Right.
Well, but if you research that a little bit, even if you take spring water or purified water, it will still burn like that. What it is just to let everybody know, I'm not sure if you've covered this at all. You can it's a simple 5-minute Google search and you'll figure it out real quick. And all it is it's the solid state of the snow or ice going to a gas form, skipping the liquid form. That's why it does what it does. And forget what the name is.
Now that makes sense. That's why I've never really looked into the burning snow thing too much. I've seen the videos. I've just kind of skipped over them saying, I don't know what to think about that. You know,
right.
The whole chemtrail thing is that's a whole different there. But you know, the burning snow, now that you say that, you know, it does make sense what you're saying.
And not to mention that, like even myself, you know, the flame that I used a butane lighter. Okay, who's to say that butane wasn't putting off some sort of residue coming out of the flame? Right. You know, but like I said, I guess the big thing is that the snowball didn't melt. Okay, people expected it to melt, like melt in their hands, like real quick. And that ain't what happens. And the reason why I bring that up, and the reason why I did a video on it, is because it ruins people's credibility when they come on here and they grab a snowball and they burn it, and then they're calling that 100% proof for chemtrails. And it's like, then it makes, I don't try to debunk anybody personally. Yeah. But it does, I will show when something, you know, is scientifically incorrect if I know how to show it. You know, and honestly, because like I said, I did that video on that, and what I did was it snowed here in Indiana where I'm at, and I went out and got some snow, obviously, because I'd never done it before. Right. And I grabbed some of that. I grabbed a bowl and put some ice out of my freezer, tap water, okay, which had been ran through, you know, a water treatment plant, and it has all those types of things in it. So technically, it shouldn't have the same mineral deposits or what have you in it.
Right, yeah.
that the snow does, right? So that was kind of my control there. And I really didn't think it would turn black. I really thought it would melt. And I got my son had a Snoopy snow cone machine. You remember those things?
Oh, yeah. I had one.
You put the ice on the top and you crank it and you put Koolaid in it, right? Koolaid.
Yeah.
Anyway, you put Koolaid in it to make it taste good. But I got that out, and I actually took ice out of my freezer and ground it up on camera and made a snowball out because it looked exactly like snow. So right. I did that, and it turned black too. Yeah. I didn't expect it to. Because if it was chemtrail stuff in my mind, you know, and yeah, there's some other stuff in there. I mean, we could always say the water fell in the ground with the chemicals from the chemtrails, and it made it to the treatment plant, and it made it to my tap. Okay, we could go down that road. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I guess if you wanted to get really, really technical, you could go get some spring water or purified whatever. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to turn black. Okay, I mean, honestly, because of after the research that I did do on that, you know, getting the definition of what that is, there's actual word for it. When I share my screen here, I think I got the definition in that folder, but I'll bring it back up later. But
Sure.
yeah, it starts with an S. I forget exact. Yeah. Anyway, it actually has a name.
Wow.
It's the property of something that's frozen or whatever, something that's a solid that goes straight to being a gas, skips the liquid stage.
And you know, Mark, you bring up a point. That's one of the biggest problems with our society is we just take things for what people say. We take things for face value. If the news tells us something, most 90% of people are going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's the way it is because the TV or news told me so. And now that we have Facebook and all this social media BS within the truth community, there's so much confusion and misinformation and disinformation going on through social media. It's just adding confusion to everything, and it's making it harder for people who are just trying to really get to the truth.
Man, you hit it right on the head, man. I mean, honestly. You know, and anybody out there that's a Christian will know what I'm getting ready to say. You know, confusion comes from one place and one place only. You know, and it comes from, you know, the enemy, at least in my opinion.
Right.
You know, I'm a Christian guy. So, I mean, that's how I believe. And, you know, a house that's confused can never, ever stand. It's just never going to happen because you just don't know what direction to go, you know. So if we're confusing ourselves, I mean, man, we just can't do that is what I'm trying to say. And I ain't saying we can't be incorrect because I've been incorrect I don't know how many times. But we have to be able to be open-minded enough to not think that we know everything.
Right.
You know, we can't just automatically assume something and just roll with it. Like you said, you see somebody do a YouTube video, you see somebody saying whatever on a TV show, and you just automatically take it as gospel truth, man. And it's just, that's a bad way to do things. And that's really why I do what I do. So you guys, I don't want you, like you just said, Chris, I don't want them just looking at my stuff and just believing me on face value. You know, go find where I'm wrong, because I guarantee you can. You know, wherever I'm wrong at, please tell me, because I want to learn too. You know, and that's how I do things. You know, I raise my kids with, you know, as soon as you think you know everything is the second you quit learning. And I really, truly, honestly believe that, and that's how I live. I put that into practice in my everyday life, and believe it or not, it helps, because we can get stuck on a certain subject and we get so tunnel vision really bad. Okay. Now I have a friend here in the community, and he's been using the word second awakening. And I was like, man, I don't know about that. But, you know, after thinking about it, it really kind of is. Because we get awake to the fact that, hey, there's something going on our earth. We just don't know what it is, right? Well, then we get woke up again because we actually went too far the other direction.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You start believing stuff that, man, you start thinking about it, and you're like, well, you know, a year ago, there's no way I could even halfway believe that. Now I'm just jumping in, automatically believing somebody without, you know, doing my due diligence and going out there. And for my channel, I actually try to debunk myself before I even put anything out.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy that's trying to get the information out there first. That is not important to me. Views are not, you know, I want people to watch my stuff, obviously, or I wouldn't even do a channel. But views and sub counts and things like that, I don't monetize. I've had a lot of people try to get me to for no other reason but to get my name out there more, because when you do monetize, you do get put in different recommended areas. Okay. And I support people that monetize. Okay. I really do, because you know, if they can do what they're doing and keep doing what they're doing, that's what I want. And you need that financial support sometimes. And if people are doing it for a job, I totally get it. But don't do a video that you know is not really what's true just to get some views and some revenue off of that. That's where I have the issue. Okay. And I want to keep my channel as pure as I can. And I ain't saying I would never monetize, because I don't know. You know what I mean? But at this point, I just broke 10,000 subs, I don't know, a month ago or something. Right. I'm about 10.5 now, so somewhere around there. But again, I can monetize if I wanted to, because there's certain stipulations. People that don't have channels probably don't even know that.
Right.
I mean, like, what is it? You have to have like 4,000 view minutes or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And
over 1,000.
A certain amount of subs, or 15, was it 1,500 subs or something like that? So there's some guidelines there that YouTube makes you hit now before you can even monetize.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I'm just not. And I really think that I kind of get left alone a little bit more because I don't think people attack me as much. Because that's just one more thing that shows that I'm not doing it for any other reason but just to try to help.
Right, definitely.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, yeah.
Mouth was getting dry.
That's the whole reason I'm doing this is for the truth. I research every news story that I put out. I make sure and verify it through multiple sources. I mean, it is hard sometimes to verify because it's hard to verify anything is true nowadays, the way the media is set up. But yeah, you're right. You have to do your own research,
I think that saying all that, like I just said and what you just said, kind of that you just summed it up. You have to do your own research.
Right.
Because you're going to believe yourself before you believe anybody else. So if you're seeing it with your own two eyes and you've got your own, you're looking at it yourself and your own mind thought, that's the best way to do it. And that's all I can say about it, because that's just is what it is, So, with that being said, I guess, that's just what we have to do, and that, honestly, I think I told you on the last show we were on, I didn't want to start a channel. I just kind of started doing it just for the fact that the videos I was sending people were getting so large megabyte wise that I had to post it somewhere because it wouldn't send. It would take hours to send and stuff. And I'm like, man, so I would just post it to my channel. And that's actually how it woke up one day, had like 100 subs. And I'm like, what is that? I didn't even plan for that, man. It wasn't even nothing like that, because like I said, I've been in the background for a couple of years, giving everybody and anybody all the information I could gather, anything that I would see, I would send it to everybody in the community, Scott at Planet X News, Steve over WSO. I mean, everybody. I mean, I went from one side all the way to the other. The journal stations, that's kind of where I see you at. You're you got the more journalistic style, because you do your research and stuff like that. You verify your sources and all that stuff, man. And it's great, and I won't go on somebody's channel that I think is doing something wrong or is just whatever, you know what I mean? And that's, I've been offered by other people and I've turned them down. And for reasons like that, it's nothing about but truth for me. It really is. That's really what it boils down to. If you're shady, I'm just not even I won't mess. I mean, I just don't. And I think that we're all kind of forced to do that, Now, I will say this: those of us that believe a certain way, we kind of tend to run together because that's just nature, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like minds are like around each other. That's just how it works.
100%.
Yeah,
100% agree.
Well, I guess I could show you some stuff I got, man. We'll get into some of the stuff that I have.
Yeah, let's jump into this. What you got going on there?
We just hit share screen. Is that how we're going to do that?
Yeah.
Or what should I
Go
do?
ahead.
Okay. Let's share that. Tell me what you're seeing, man. You seeing my screen?
I got your Zoom,
okay.
Your desktop, basically.
Okay, there you go. That's what I wanted. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
We'll open that up. I guess the first thing we'll talk about is we've been talking about, at least in this community here lately, we've been talking about magnetic north and the pole reversal that we,
Yes.
It's been kind of we'll just go to that picture here.
And by the way, that is happening, people. This is not just something that we're talking about in this community. Our magnetic north is rapidly moving.
I'm going to show you guys some stuff here that might help you guys come to that conclusion, I hope it does, because this is something that we should all be aware of. I'm going to keep it can you guys see that good enough, Chris?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, it looks good.
Okay, I didn't know if you wanted me to. I think it's good enough for this one anyway. I don't have to zoom it in.
Yeah.
This is really what got me kind of fired up about this. I mean, we've all, especially in this community, we've been talking about a magnetic pole reversal for years now. I think some of us don't understand that, like, a solar minimum and maximum, what that is that's the sun actually having a pole flip. Every 11 years, they flip.
Right.
So that's why you get the minimum and maximum from the sun, the activity from the sun. So we do that too. We flip. I don't think there is a set.
They estimate 700,000 years in most mainstream science articles.
Right, and it's not like I just said, it's not 11 years.
Right.
That's a very short amount of time that you can we could actually have had historical documentation of the sun doing that. We can never get that precise with the Earth, and I think that's the whole thing here. People don't. And the other thing, they get scared, Chris. They get scared because they don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to tell people. We don't know what's going to happen. Okay? We can kind of have educated guesses that when that happens, what's going to happen. There's things that I believe that others don't. There's things that they believe that I don't. So that is what it is. But the fact of the matter is, we are in the process of a reversal.
Right.
And what I'm getting ready to show here will probably almost pretty much prove it. Because these are coming now. It's in mainstream now. It's not even just in the background. And this is where, when that happens, you really need to, look up, because it's getting to the point where they're not going to be able to hide it from everybody.
Yeah.
And I really think that that's what's happening. So if you look at this right here, this article was put out, I can't remember the date. It's been like a month ago. But it was from nature.com. Anybody can go over there and read this. What this is they were reporting on magnetic north moving. Okay. Now, magnetic north always migrates. Okay. I'm not sure if most know that. I'm sure a lot of us do.
Mm-hmm.
But the rate of the migration has greatly sped up. Okay. Now, then you got to start asking yourself, why is that going on? Well, if you look right here, I wish I had the other picture in this, but anyway, you guys see my cursor?
Yeah.
Okay. Over here where it's black, I think it says 1900 something. But anyway, this is like 1910 or something to 20.
Yeah, I believe it was around that time.
Okay. So, I mean, you can look and see how far it migrated in that many amount of years. Well, from here to here was probably 20 or 30 years. Well, from here to here was 10. Okay. Not only did the distance change greatly, but the short amount of time, it decreased in time. Right. Now, why they wrote this article is because it had sped up enough that it was messing with our navigation systems.
Yep.
The European agencies have a satellite system up there called Swarm. I'm not sure if many people know that, but it's a thing of 3 satellites that goes around the Earth, 14, 15, 16 times a day. Okay, so it's moving fast. Mm-hmm. And what its sole purpose is to try to track and magnetic north, pretty much, is what it's about. At least that's one of its jobs. So what that did is they went and found magnetic north, which isn't easy to do, guys. Okay, it's a hard process to do, to physically go up there and find it. I don't know the exact process of what they do. All I know is it's for very intelligent people. It's hard to even do. But in the year 2000, we went up there in 2015. They said they were going to go back every 5 years. Well, they noticed such a movement in it that they had to go back a year early. Now, like I said, why did they do that? Well, they do that because they don't want our ships crashing into something. They don't want our planes landing on the wrong runway, right. that kind of thing. Because, what this is it shows what direction you're supposed to go. Our compasses are based off this. And I know that's kind of basic for a lot of people, but I want to say that because there are some people out there that don't know this. Right. But, you get 2015 to 2019, it moved, I think, it was like, anyway, it's moving at 34 miles a year now, and it's speeding up. Okay. Now, there's a whole lot of things that come into that. It was moving at 9 miles a year. Okay. So you can kind of, that's a 400% increase in movement. Okay. They say, and this is the number that they've given me, when it gets to 40 degrees on the latitude line on our globe, that is basically, you know, event horizon, when it's going to just go ahead and flip.
Yes, yeah, I've heard that as well.
We are now 300 miles from that. So people kind of put that in their mind, do a little simple math. You can figure out how close this is. Okay, and that's if it stays the same speed. Most of us think that it's going to get quicker. You know, if you just do the simple math there, it's close to 10 years. Now, it's probably more close to like 8 if you factor in that couple extra years there.
Right.
But most like people from the observatories and things and in the physics community and all this kind of stuff, they're saying 5 years now, because I think it's going to speed up. And it makes sense, because, you know, if you were running on a ball, you know what I'm saying, the more you get closer to the side, the faster you're going to start moving before you fall, right?
Yep.
It's kind of the same thing that's happening here. Now, like I said, you know, 34 miles a year, I don't think it's ever did that. I would have to research that, but just judging by what we're seeing right here, I mean, there's really not a whole lot to say there.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, you know, the next conversation to have would be what would happen. And I'm not going to go into that, because that is something that we just don't know 100%.
Yeah, and a lot of people confuse the magnetic reversal with just a pole flip, where the entire planet just flips upside down, which is not the case.
Right.
I mean, something like that may be possible following a magnetic reversal, but, you know, we don't know.
Right. And that's exactly what, you know, yeah, exactly what you said. Shoot, what happened here? Okay. I had another picture here I wanted to show you that. Okay. Well, let me go over here to this. How's that? That's better. I think I tried to have that set up. I thought I put that picture over here, but I didn't. Anyway, if you take a magnet, say you take 2 magnets, right? And you put a compass in between them. That compass isn't going to point to one or the other. It's going to point right in the middle. Okay? There's a channel out there, Maverick Star Reloaded. I would encourage, at least in my opinion, that's where I would go to look at this information. And the reason why is because, well, I tell you what, man, I'm just going to go to my other picture part real quick. It's the only way I can really show it.
Yeah, sure. Anytime.
Sorry about that. I thought I had it all set up, but I guess
Oh, you're all good.
Let's just go here. Where you at?
Yeah, the most important thing is just getting the information out there, because the mainstream media is not going to give you constant updates on what's happening. They'll come out with stories every once in a while like this and just give you sprinkles of what's going on, where, you know, in this community, you can find out a lot more information if you do the research and you know who to listen to.
Right. I totally agree, man. I mean, that's just where we got to do. You know, you just got to go look at it. You really do. I guess the best thing that I can tell people is to learn from like what me and you do, as far as, you know, the sources we go to, I guess is the best way to say it.
Right.
You know, go look at those sources for yourself and make your own mind up here what's going on. But back to the magnetic north here real quick.
Yeah.
This right here, basically it is a chart of the intensity of our magnetism on the globe. Okay. And again, you can get this information online. You can get these pictures, whatever. But like I said, Mavstar Reloaded has done a lot of work on this, and I would encourage anybody to go over there and at least check them out. I think you'll be better for it. Anyway, if you look at the globe here, okay, we're supposed to have a magnetic north and a magnetic south, right? A north and a south pole. And just to touch on something you said a minute ago, physical North Pole and physical South Pole, like you said, is totally different than magnetic north and magnetic south. The Earth rotates on the line between physical North Pole and physical South. That's the axis of the Earth, okay? So when that's what they're talking about. Now, when you talk about magnetic north, it's the magnetism that the Earth has created from the core. That's where a magnetic field comes from. Okay, at least that's how I understand it. But what this is showing you is, if you look up here to the left, this is the North Pole. All right, you guys notice how you got two different intense areas?
Yeah.
Okay, this one over here is the Canadian one. Okay, basically, these guys have either discovered or are now claiming that there are two magnetic north and two magnetic souths. We now have 4 poles, basically, is what they're saying. Okay, and if anybody researches, like I said, please go research this yourself and make up your own mind. But I do believe this. This is something that I actually believe. And again, my opinion. Okay, I don't want to say this is 100% truth. I can't say that about hardly anything, but you know, I strongly think that this is what's going on, and this is why we're having the issues that we're having. But anyway, because with it speeding up, moving, this lends straight into that whole narrative. Okay, so this one over here on the Canadian one is what they basically would say would have been our original magnetic north. Right. Well, whatever happened in our core and other stuff influencing us from the outside, in my opinion, other celestial bodies, magnetism from other stuff, has caused this to split. Okay, now reason why I said, you know, the two magnets, the needle points in the middle on a compass, right? So right now our compasses are pointing in between the two middle, in between these two. Okay, this one over here is getting weaker, and I'll show that here in a second. But this one over here is migrated towards Siberia. That's the strong one, and that's the one that, you know, basically is the most powerful one, like I said. But that's what most people would consider our magnetic north, because that's the direction it's migrating. Right. Now, whether or not this is just residual magnetism left over because this is moving so fast, I don't know. Like I said, this is very new research that this guy's doing. It's out in an observatory over in England that he's doing this from. Is it England or Australia? One of those two countries. He's got an observatory. Right. I think there's a website there too. I think it's poleshiftnews.com, but that's a website that you guys could go to, check it out too, get more info. But anyway, this is what concerns me, because eventually if this goes away, okay, remember I said the needle is right in the middle. Yeah. Well, if this goes away, our needle is going to go boof. Right. Okay. And it would happen fairly quickly, the way that I understand it. It wouldn't be like a 2 or 3 month thing. It would be very, very quick if this thing like decided just to go away. Yeah. So, you know, with that being said, you can kind of see where this is going. So if our magnetic north is over here right now, if it gets to the longitude line of 40, it goes ahead and they just flip. Okay, because you'll see, and he does a really cool experiment where he takes two magnets of same polarity, and then he'll put a compass in between them, and you can see. And then when he gets right around the 40-degree mark on his compass, it goes completely crazy and flips. Wow. So yeah, so that's where they came up with a 40-degree, you know, line to come with. And I'm sure that's been out there for a long time. I'm sure that's pretty much common knowledge for a lot of these guys. But that was new for me. Yeah, that's something that I've just recently learned. So yeah, and like I said, this is what concerns me a little bit. Okay, and I will just say it. Like I said, this is 1999. Do you see these right here? Yeah. Okay, look at 2016. Compare that to that. Yeah. Okay, you see what I'm saying there? I mean, that's definitely something has changed.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I mean that's when you see this, okay, with them right next to each other, it's hard to sit here and say, man, those are the same. No, they're not the same. I would, you know what I mean? Or something really needs looked at here.
Now, and I just have to say that I love the mainstream narrative. Anytime like this, something like this comes up, it's always climate change. That's the only answer they can
man.
come up with is climate change.
Right. And what's causing climate change? Please tell me. You know what I mean?
They don't want to go there.
Be that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, global warming, global cooling. I mean, they're all over the place right now with that.
Yeah.
You know, what are we supposed to believe? Well, I'm just going to believe what I see, and I'm going to go off what happens, obviously, because that's all we can do. There's not a whole lot of proactive stuff we can do. You know, it's mostly, you know, I guess if you want to talk about that for a second, it would be more of a, you know, prepare to be able to survive for, I don't know, however long you want to survive with no power. You know what I mean? Because that's what will happen. I mean, if the poles flip, that's one thing that we know for sure will be screwed up is our electricity.
And that's going to be
there's no way around it.
Fundamental things. I mean, that could cause just chaos worldwide. You know, people not having power because we don't know how to live without power anymore.
If like I said, guys, if that was ever to happen, you would never ever see my big white booty in a city anywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I'm telling you right now, I'm a father of 3 kids. And if I look over at my kids and they're starving to death, and I look over at the neighbors and they're like, no, you can't have this food unless you kill me. I'm telling you right now what I would do. I mean, you know what I'm saying? As a father,
right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to make sure my kids can eat no matter the cost.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. I know I'm not the only one out there, but that thinks like that. But that's the kind of stuff that we don't think about.
Yeah.
You know, because
nobody wants to think about that.
Especially those of us over here in the Western Hemisphere that have pretty much led a pretty easy life. You know what I mean? Millennials, you know, that don't even know life without an internet.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Those are the guys that are really going to be hurting. And
most people, they're not going to do anything until it's directly affecting them. I mean, right now, you know, I cover this. We see a lot of Middle Eastern countries. We see Asian countries being affected by these weather changes more than anyone. I mean, we just got hit with a polar vortex, and you know, it was terrible. But we have not experienced some of the things that these other countries, Indonesia, I mean, the amount of deaths from the tsunamis and earthquakes that are occurring out there and just the weather phenomenon, people have no idea the chaos that's occurring there, and they won't do anything about it till it's knocking on their front door.
Right. You know, and you know, I've had this conversation with somebody in my family. You're echoing again there too, bud. Just
all right. Gotcha.
But what I did is I would point them to the videos and the information from Puerto Rico from last year. When the hurricane went through there and just wiped them out, there were some places that did not have electricity for 6 months. You know, and these guys are the ones that, man, I mean, that's really America. You really got to say that that's America. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of us that went through that, and the mainstream media didn't even cover it, but very little.
Yeah.
So we really need to know. You know what I'm saying?
The trend.
That's where I would point people to go look.
Yeah, that seems to be the trend. The more things pick up, the less coverage there will be.
Yep, and I totally agree with that. And that's like we just said a minute ago. You know, if this is catching mainstream news now, because it is, you know, because I forgot to tell you, but they like I said, they went back. They did find the North Pole, and yes, it did move, and that. So now, you know, like our navigation systems will be accurate right now, but who's to say if that stuff starts moving real fast again, if they're ever going to catch it fast enough that, I don't know, that it's real close to that 40-degree mark, and then it just decides to go ahead and go. You know, I don't think that those of us as the public are really going to have a whole lot of warning, because, you know, the guys behind the scenes obviously will, because they're privy to information we can't get. But, you know, even the government shutdown we had, Chris, they were supposed to go up there 2 weeks prior to what they did. But it got shut down and postponed because of the shutdown. Those are government employees. They're not essential, so they weren't working. And, you know, we were really supposed to have this information a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think Noah is the one that actually went up there. but they work in tandem with, you know, the European agencies and stuff like that, just trying to keep things straight.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to touch on something else here while we're talking about weather. Let's go back to here. I think I have it in my other. I did a video a few back. It's been a couple videos back, I guess. And this is really kind of on the same. Well, let me go back to. Shoot, let's just go back to. Okay, yeah, let's go back to here. Let me bring this one up first. Okay, this is just a generic photo of the globe, guys. It's actually even in Spanish, I think.
Yeah.
But the reason why I bring this up is I'm going to show you locations of 2 different cities, and I'm going to point out some stuff here, okay? Up here in the north, okay, we got, you know, the United States is over here, right? Here, I think this is Greenland or something, this white part. Maybe it's the Arctic.
Yeah.
But anyway, England's about right here, okay? So London's right around in there, okay? Well, if you stay on that same latitude line, you will run smack dab into Moscow, okay? And the reason I say this is because they're on the same. They're on the same. They're as far north as the other. So you would think that their weather would be very similar as far as temperature. Well, it's not. Okay, and there's a reason for that. Now, the reason is, let me go back here again. The reason is because of the Gulf Stream. Okay, this is just a crude picture of it. What the Gulf Stream is, it's a current of water underneath the ocean. Okay, it's in a deeper part, and what it does is it flows from hot to cold, and then when the solidity of the water changes, which is the salt content, it actually affects the speed of it. Okay, so what happens is this warm water gets sucked up here to the cold water and goes over here north where England is, and it actually affects the climate enough that England doesn't get the hard winters. Moscow gets hammered. Okay, this is the whole reason why England never does that. All right. Now at the same time, if you're getting warm water going up here and then it circles back down, you know what's going to happen. You know, you're going to get colder water down here, so it's kind of even affecting the climate here.
Right.
So this is the Gulf Stream. Now it's changing. That's why I'm bringing this up.
Yeah.
It's been changing for years, and now it's getting to the point where this up here, and I think it has everything to do with magnetic north and all that stuff, because if you look at the polar vortexes, those were working in tandem with I lost my train. You're echoing again. That's why I lost my train.
Oh, sorry.
No, it doesn't bother me. I just don't want your video to be all, you know, all jacked up there. But yeah, there you go. But what this does is, you know, with the polar vortexes, we're going right with, you know, magnetic north, all that stuff that was going on up there, all that changing and things. That was all, you know, our polar vortexes have split into 2 itself. Planet X News has done a article and stuff on that. There's a lot of research on that. And something else I will say, there's something called the South Atlantic Anomaly, I believe is what they call it. I'm not sure if you've heard of that or not. That's where the magnetics is actually different than what it should be. And they say it's because it's already flipped underneath in our core right there. They say that the magnetics is actually reversed there.
Yeah,
so if it can happen
I had covered that a few months back. The South Atlantic Anomaly, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so. That's what it's called. But they actually think that that's kind of what goes on around the Bermuda Triangle too. They think it wasn't as consistent, which is why you would have, you know, missing planes sometimes and sometimes not. But there's other stuff to consider there too. But anyway, this is just the Gulf Stream. This is just what's happening right here. The reason I show this is because of this. It's all tied in together worldwide. Okay, these are the actual currents in the ocean. Okay, the main currents. You can see what they do. So if over here it changes, what's going to happen over here? It's going to change. And usually what causes the change is the actual speed that this stuff is moving. It's not the actual air temperature that's causing this. It's the actual speed of this that causes either it to heat up because it stays longer in warmer water, or cool down because it stays longer in colder water, or vice versa, goes faster in whatever area. And again, you know, it's just like our air weather, you know, hot and cold. That's what's needed to make movement. And that's why this stuff is affected so easily by what's going on everywhere else. And like I said, what's being shown here is, you know, it's just another, I don't know, it's just another piece of the puzzle is what I'm saying. It's just another prover to say, hey, something is not right. You know, something's going on. And, you know, we really got to try to figure out, at least at some level, to get some sort of a warning. That's the whole purpose, at least me. You know, that's why I try to do this, because I know we can't stop it. There's nothing we can do to stop this. You know, so we shouldn't fear it. We should just embrace it as something that we need to deal with. And how we deal with it is try to keep each other safe and informed. But that's just me, you know. And again, back to why I do my channel, that kind of circles back to that. You know, I just try to show people the tools. And that, you know, and that's really kind of exactly what I'm getting ready to do right now anyway. Show you how to use some of that. But I do want to show you some captures I've got before. Where are we at on time, Chris? I don't even know. You're muted, bud.
All right, we got about 10 minutes.
Okay. Let me run through this real quick because I want you guys to see this. This is kind of cool. This stuff is actually pretty cool. This is SETI. You know, I'm sure most of us have in this community kind of have seen this quite a bit. This is the core tube from the SETI satellite. All right. You know, we see this stuff from time to time. Okay. Could we ever say what this stuff is? No. Could they be camera anomalies? Of course they could. Are they? Don't know. But I will say that this right here was on the 29th, okay, of January.
Now, something like that, I've seen plenty of things like that, and it almost shows like a sort of movement, like an object is actually moving there. It doesn't look like a camera anomaly to me, but that's just my opinion.
Right, and I share that opinion, Chris. I really do. I mean, you can kind of see where it kind of fades. You know, if it was a camera anomaly, it would, in my opinion, it would be more of a hard line around here, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Basically, it would be, for it to be a camera anomaly, most camera anomalies are basically reflections of the camera's insides. I'm not sure if a whole lot of people know that. You might get half of that object or whatever, but most of the time, that's what it is. Light gets flooded inside the camera, and it reflects in such a way that it causes that object to show up in the picture. That's just a basic explanation, I guess you could say. There's a whole lot more to it, obviously.
Yeah.
But this right here was the 29th, and then on the 30th, I get this. Okay. Now, yeah, that's
now that kind of looks like a flare or a massive CME, but then again, it doesn't, because it's too big. It's and it's not coming out at the right angle.
Right. Well, and something else that you might want to mute again there, man. You're echoing. This right here, this is, I believe this to be either one big huge object or two smaller ones, but a flare or a CME would be there. You would see it for more than just one capture, and this was only there for one capture. If I went to SETI and showed you the time lapse, this was only there for one capture. So either something happened or they caught it and like was trying to hide it. But what was kind of odd about what I seen here was, let's go here and do this real quick. If you look close, sorry about the color of that. I don't want to have to take time to change it. See this right in here? Okay, sorry about my jaw job, but there you go. Okay, yeah, let's just leave that. Okay, there you go. If you look right in here, if you follow that outline, it's the exact same shape of what I just showed you on the 29th. Okay, kind of see that? but this would be upside down. It's like it moved over to here and kind of flipped over, is what I'm trying to say. I believe it's the same object. I wish I'd have put those two pictures together. Maybe this one will show it better. Okay, can you see it now? Kind of darting out a little bit right here and around. And I know it takes a little bit of imagination to kind of see that. And I know most people are going to be like, oh, that's probably not the same. But if I was to actually, and I probably will for a video in the future, basically make those two objects the same size and flip that one over, I would almost guarantee you that those would just lay right on top of each other. Yeah, you're muted again. But anyway, you got the two. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can definitely see. I mean, it's very similar, and I'd love to see your overlay when you get that done.
Yeah, I'm going to do that because like I say, I want people to actually believe what I'm showing. Okay, and then what that did was when I seen that, I was like, man, I've seen that similar shape somewhere else. So I started going through some of my older captures, and I ran into this one. Okay, this was back on September 2nd, 2018.
Wow, look at that.
Okay. Does that not look very similar? Okay, if you look here, this up here is probably that same object we were just talking about. And not only, it might even be this down here too. It might be more than one. And then you start seeing all this. This right here is really what got me on this picture was this. Because I think, because you can see how it's, if you can use your imagination a little bit from the one I just showed you, you draw a circle here and a circle here, it would look very similar to that one I just showed you on the 30th. Like I said, I should have put
that's fascinating, because if that's not camera anomalies, to imagine something that massive could be out there, it's
right.
Fascinating.
And what's crazy about it is that is not coming from the sun. Okay, and like I say, I can say that with confidence because you can even see it here. If it was coming from the sun, you would see energy coming off of this going back here to the sun. It's not. There's a pretty distinctive line there.
You can see a defined edge there now that you say that. Yeah.
So, I mean, and, like I said, we look at these pictures, and you do too, Chris, all the time, I'm sure. And, those of us that look at it a lot, this little stuff I just showed you, like right in here, is stuff that everybody will start seeing if they just go look at the stuff. And that's my whole goal. I look at the stuff all the time, so I see stuff that people don't. And I really want everybody to be able to get to that point. But I want to show you this, too. This is kind of on a UFO type of line, I guess, if that's what you want to call it.
I love UFOs. What you got?
Yep. Well, this is the sun. Okay, this is a satellite picture. Okay, this is the sun edge right here. This is the EUVI satellite from Sechi. I believe it's the 190 something angstrom, and it'll be the green one when you guys go, if you guys go look at it. But that's the sun edge, right? Well, if you see this, that's in the corona.
Yeah, I see those often, and I'm still stumped as to what they could be. It looks like some of them have these little round corners,
right? Very
symmetrical at times.
And that's why I believe these to be some sort of a craft. I mean, at least in my mind, that's almost. I can tell you this: that's not a natural object that was created. Okay, right. It's one of two things. It's either some sort of craft or it's a camera anomaly. That's really about all it could be, at least in my mind. But again, I mean, you see this, but what really draws my attention is if you look at this, and if I actually have it on a different filter, I'll take you over to that one. This, you can see this better over here. Okay.
Yeah.
If you look, you can actually see how it's indenting into the corona. Okay. In other words, it's blocking the corona in a way that gives it depth. So it's like it's coming through the corona at some level, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. Right.
We see the cloud formations sometimes that kind of look very similar. Some stuff, some of the stuff that we see. But what really got me on this one was this. Okay. See these lines right here?
The filaments coming off.
Yeah, they're reacting to this.
Yeah.
Okay. So that just gives validity that something's actually there. And if you were to go back and look at this time lapse, which I didn't do that because it runs so slow and take up too much time. I would encourage you guys really to go do this. Go look at the time lapse on Sechi, and you'll see it. You'll see it pop out as soon as this is only here for one frame, Chris, and it's gone. So it's not there very long. And this is why we don't catch it very often. Now, one thing I will do here real quick, I'm going to zoom in pretty far here. If you can see right here, you can see how it's got depth.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, definitely.
It's hard for us to look at a two-dimensional picture and try to make it look three-dimensional. That's really what we got to have to kind of do. You know what I mean? Because we live in a three-dimensional world. We can't just think this is, an old Super Mario game and, just start rolling with it, because it's not. This is one of those things where you really have to try to, look at something with different eyes. But again, I will say this right here is really what did it for me. I know this doesn't look like much to somebody that doesn't look at this a lot, but those things should not be there. Those are filaments. You know what those are, Chris. I know you do. I've heard you talk about them. They're filaments. It's plasma filaments off the surface of the sun is what that is. And when they stretch out in a straight line, both of those stretching out at the same time in a straight line, something's drawing that, man. I mean, that's just in my opinion. Something's causing that to happen.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. And I've seen these so often, and it looks like they have little just pieces that come off of them that are symmetrical. And these, it could be massive, huge. We have no way to tell how huge these objects are. And yeah, the sun does seem to react to these objects. That's fascinating.
Right. Now, I will say this. If this right here is an actual object or a craft, it is the size of Earth, if not bigger. Okay? Because of its proximity to the sun.
Yeah, definitely. Even if not bigger, yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I said, guys. This is something that is not small, which is why it's so hard for anybody to believe. Okay? It's hard for me to believe. I'm sure it's hard for you to believe some of this stuff too, Chris. I mean, we didn't just walk into this blind and stupid. You know what I mean? We questioned all this stuff. All of us did, I think, at one point.
Yeah, I still question it every day. I mean, you have to.
I don't want any of it to be true, to be honest. I hope somebody just comes out tomorrow and completely debunks everybody, with one simple thing or whatever. Yeah. I don't want it to be true, man, because it's at the base level of it, it's not a positive thing. It's just not. But I will say this too, okay? I want everybody to understand that the sun does go through cycles, okay? You're hearing the sun's dark. There's some people out there that believe it's completely dark. That doesn't mean the sun is dead. I want to clarify that right now, okay? It just means it ain't putting off visible light. It doesn't mean it ain't putting off energy. There's so many parts that we don't know as far as what, even light coming off of the sun, the energy that does come off of it, if it is dark, and I ain't saying that it is, okay? Because I said, I'm not smart enough to even know that. There's been people that, very, very intelligent people that have went down this road, and, they have some really good theories. People need to go read and look and make up their own mind. I don't want to steer anybody in that, because that's a very important one to be able to grab hold of and make up your own mind, and it'll help you in this whole community. It'll help you in your own life, actually, if you just kind of wrap your brain around it. You know what I mean? And, whether the sun's dark or not, a solar minimum is a cycle, okay? So some of the stuff that we see, we can't just automatically think, oh, my gosh, that's the most crazy thing I've ever seen. It's such a reaction from even myself. I catch myself doing it. We really sometimes have to step back and say, hey, man, reel that back in a little bit and let's look at this in an intelligent, methodic way, and let's go through this the right way and then make our conclusion. Don't make your conclusion first, go the other direction with it. But, yeah, I mean, it's like, I'll show you this real quick. This is one of my pet peeves, okay? I'll just let you know that straight up. I report on this stuff all the time, right? You've probably seen my video. I've seen you do this stuff too.
Yeah.
This is very interesting stuff, okay? This is our magnetosphere. For those of, if anybody's watching that don't know what this actually is, it's just the SWMF tool. It gives you what, Chris? 3 different views, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. I'm not as familiar with these with this data, but yeah, I believe so.
Right. But you see this perfect circle stuff going on and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, that's weird. It shouldn't look like that. You know, the Earth's here. Here's the satellite orbit, this dotted lines where all of our satellites are, most of them anyway. The sun would be off to your right. You know, we shouldn't be getting this in the backside. This is pressure, basically, without going into some big explanation. First off, why is it in that shape? You know, those are the questions we got to ask. But my pet peeve, okay, is somebody that looks at this and goes completely berserk nuts saying, you know, this is crazy. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Well, I'm telling you, Chris, if you go back, this is what's good about history. If people would actually go look at this, you know what I mean? This is what people do, and they just don't do it. And I don't understand why they don't. And I will say this, I was guilty of this at the beginning until I figured out, hey man, I really got to do this. I got to be, you know, putting out credible stuff as much as I can. So if you take this same tool and you go back, because you can go back like to 2013, and you look at this from 6-7 years ago, you're going to see very similar reactions and probably more of them. And the reason I say that, I'll show you this video right here. Okay, I'm going to pause this real quick. All right. This is I'm not sure if anybody knows, but this is the new tool that they're using. This is basically that same one I just showed you, except it's 180 degrees different. The sun's actually on the left on this one.
Okay.
You can get there. I refer people over to planetxnews.org. There's a web page that Scott has made, and he put, matter of fact, I'll take you there in a second, just so you guys can see, just so you can see where I get the stuff from. But what concerns me about this is you see this massive pressure, okay? When you see that encroaching on the Earth, that means that, and I got captures of this. Let's see here, where does it get to? Okay, now you see, let's see here. See how big that is? That hole? That's usually over here. It's kind of more like this, and the Earth's right in the middle of it. Well, something's going on behind us here, and it's pushing all this stuff this direction. That's the whole point of this particular one. But if I run this on down, you can see, now you see those waves going from left to right? Those are solar winds. Okay? Right. So a lot of times when you see the solar winds hits our bow shock out here in the front, you get a reverse reaction, and people have to keep that in mind. You know, hit the bow shock, go back here and circle back towards on both sides. Okay, you see these 2 little indentations right here? Yeah. That's what that is. That's pretty much what that is. Now, I do believe that there's something out there that's back here behind us, because when you look at the magnetic connection lines, you know, our interplanetary magnetic connection lines, which there's a tool for that you can look at. When you look at that, you can see that we're connecting to something. It shows a connection, electrical connection to something that's not the sun. So whatever that is, we're connecting to some sort of magnetic anomaly. But I do want to take you over here to that. Let's go here real quick. And like I said, this is planetxnews.com. He writes a bunch of articles, which are great. You know, you see him, he's talking about a lot what I just talked about. Let's see here. Yeah, there's the magnetic stuff I was just talking about, the North Poles. That's actually a pretty good image there. You can kind of see. It shows it very, very well. Then he did, you know, the warmest history in 5 years. That's what the scientists say. I haven't read that article yet. I have to read that one.
Yeah, anyway, I'm going to be doing a report on that tomorrow, actually.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Check that out. But if you go down, if you just scroll down, guys, look at all this. You see these over here, these tabs? That is every tool plus more than what I look at. All right, all you got to do is he makes it so easy. You can come over here and say, I want to look at, who knows? Let's go look at the CME tracker. Okay, there's actually a tool. People don't know this, but there's a coronal mass ejection tracker. That's what this is. Okay. Yeah, you got to learn how to see what you're looking at here, guys. I mean, that's without being said. But just a little brief thing of what this does is it's predictive. You see up here, you see the date up here on the top left where my cursor's moving. If you look at that, it's starting, I think, on the 6th, because they like update it every week or so, and they actually predict whether or not we're going to be getting solar winds, CMEs, that kind of thing. And when a CME happens, they do change it, you know, if something does like happen where it wasn't predicted. But because it's kind of hard to predict CMEs, I don't think they can do it, at least not very well.
Right.
But what you're seeing here, over here, there's yeah, I'm not going to go into this whole tool, but I wanted you guys to see that, how easy that is to go to these tools that we, oops, you want to close all tabs. Nope.
Yeah, that's some excellent information there. And yeah, I mean, the whole point is, you know, basically do your own research. Don't take our word for it. We're just, use us as tools, you know, get the information and go verify it for yourself. You know, that's what I want you to do with my information. I'm sure you feel the same. And Mark, we're out of time, but that was awesome information. We got a lot of stuff out there that we needed to talk about, and I'm definitely going to have you back on soon. So, because you know, we got so much more we could talk about.
I know we could do 4 hours, couldn't we? I know for sure.
But
I appreciate it, Chris. Thanks for letting me come on and share some of my stuff. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for taking the time, and we'll see you again real soon.
All right, brother.
All right, you have a great night.
Yeah, you too.